Okay, so welcome everyone. Really nice to have you on this evening. We're going to be talking about dōTERRA's compensation plan. So this is really how you earn money in dōTERRA. And as you can see, there are actually 5 different commissions that all work together to make up your total payment. This webinar assumes that you watched How to Create a Natural Wellness Business with dōTERRA, the webinar where we introduce the business opportunity. And tonight is kind of the follow on, which really starts to kind of drill down a little bit on the compensation plan and how we make money. So I'm going to pass you over to Ruth, and she's going to talk a little bit about high level, the 5 different ways, and introduce you to the first way, which is retail profit.
Hi everybody, nice to meet you all. So we're talking about the 5 ways to earn from dōTERRA. So the first one is the monthly retail profit. So the monthly retail profit is based on 25% of the sale of that item. And as part of a wholesale or wellness advocate, you get a link from your account so that you can share it as a retail. We don't really use that very much generally, as it doesn't encourage a long-term relationship with the customer, which we will talk about later in the presentation. It also doesn't lead to growing your business in the best way, which we will explain also later. So number 2, a weekly fast start bonus. So this helps us to cover the costs of our oils, travel costs, and a little bit of time. And it's great early on in your business to have this. It's a good starter, and obviously we get it all the time. When it's paid, isn't it, on a certain time?
Yeah, we're covering that a little bit later.
We're covering that later, sorry. So number 3 is the Power of 3 team bonus, and this is available and is useful to anyone, and it's how you should structure your team, and we're going to go into this later as well. Number 4 is the monthly unilevel commission structure. And this is a commission that's paid on the 18th of the month, and it's based on who you have enrolled personally, and also those you haven't enrolled yourself. So if you have someone building underneath you and they enroll somebody, or if they're a wellness advocate and they've enrolled somebody, then and they're placed below you, and you haven't enrolled them, but a team member has. I don't think I need to say anything else, do I, with that?
That's great.
Yeah, we go into that. And number 5 is leadership bonus, and this begins at Premier. And this is a really good rank to aim for as you start to earn money in Premier. And the leadership bonuses are based on the exchange rate.
This is the next slide, Ruth.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So the next slide is how the commissions are calculated. So they are calculated in different ways, and it's useful to understand most of them. Out of the 5 that are here, these are calculated. 3 of these, are calculated on commissioned volume. So this is a conversion that's done on the value of the terms and based on our exchange rate in the UK. So
yeah, that's it. It's basically an easy way to think of it would be whatever somebody's buying less the VAT, and then we get a percentage of that. Yeah.
So you can see there, it sort of lists the retail profit, the fast start, the power of three, the unilevel, and then the leadership bonuses that you get later on. So there are 5 things that are commissioned. So we're now talking about the retail profit. So going back to the retail side of things. It's not necessarily the best way for us or the customer. But here it shows you that if we sell something at 100 PV, product volume, the retail profit of that is the 25%, which is £16.25. So we can earn 25% on the retail sales less VAT. This is paid monthly on the 18th of the following month, and commission is paid on the purchases from the website. You don't need to be on LRP, but I mean, we don't tend to use this. I don't really use this very much because we don't really get a long-term relationship with the customers this way. You know, if it could be useful for somebody who just wants an oil and doesn't want any support and doesn't really want to talk to you, then maybe this way is okay. But it doesn't sort of build up your volume in your team, and they don't get the support. It can look attractive when we're getting started. The next slide we've moved on to is the difference between an enroller and the sponsor. So the enroller is the person who introduced the oils to the new customer, the wellness advocate, and the person who is paid the fast start bonuses. The enroller can also rank through a person enrolled wellness advocate. So say you taught a class and someone wants to enroll, we normally process the order for them. And then when we place them somewhere in our organisation, we are the enroller. So the sponsor is the person directly above the customer. So say, for example, so if someone else enrolls underneath us, then they are the sponsor is the person. So you've got the enroller if you've enrolled them, and then if you're going to place them somewhere in your tree, that person is the sponsor. So that customer goes underneath the sponsor. They don't receive fast start bonuses, but they do really receive a unilevel commission, which is paid up through the sponsors. A sponsor cannot usually rank through a wellness advocate as they don't hold the enrollership. And then the difference between PV and OV. So PV is the personal volume. So it's your spend, what you have bought, or the value of your personal purchases. It's a valuation system that helps the company manage foreign exchange rates and profit margins. It's quite important to know this, especially when you're looking at products and working out how much you need to spend every month, etc. And OV is the overall volume of your team. And this it represents the cumulative personal purchases of your entire team. So it's everyone underneath you.
Okay. So on to the second way you can earn commission with dōTERRA, which is the fast start bonus. So you can think of all these different commissions as a collection of different revenue streams, all with slightly different parameters, if you like. So fast start is a really great way, it's a great bonus, full stop, because it's paid weekly. And the intention behind it is that, it's going to cover your immediate expenses in terms of getting your business started. and obviously beyond that, but in the early days, this is a really nice one. So, you know, it's money now, paid weekly, and it runs for enrolments from Monday to Sunday, and is paid the Thursday of the following week. It's paid to enrollers, not sponsors, during the first 60 days of the new customer wellness advocate. So, you know, you're receiving this on that initial purchase, that person that you've first introduced, and for the 60 days following. So if they, you know, say they, for example, buy a kit, and then the following month they buy 1 or 2 oils, you're going to be receiving 20% commission on that. In order to receive this bonus, and with all of the bonuses, well, almost all of them, the enroller needs to have 100 PV LRP order in their basket at all times to qualify. So this is how the computer system recognises you as a builder, okay? So it pays out based on the people who have this template. And you have one exception for this, but it's worth saving that exception for a bit later on when you're earning a lot more money. You know, if there's a situation where perhaps you haven't got that template in place, or have forgotten to check it, then yeah, you do have an exception. So it's worth knowing that, but it's also a good idea to hold on to it. So just to explain the diagram, so I was just going to go through that briefly. Yeah. So everyone watching at the moment is on enrolment level 1. So you've taught a class or you've taught a one-to-one, and you have someone who is wanting to purchase a kit. So say, for example, you know, in this example here, the enrolment order comes to 200 PV, and PV stands for product volume, and it equates to US dollars. So 1 PV equals $1 US. So in this scenario, where this customer in the light blue has purchased a kit, you're going to receive $40 on that order, or £40. And then the person who has introduced you to the oils.
Come back. There we go.
The person who's introduced you to the oils and supported you and answered your questions and guided you, they will receive 10% on that order, which in this scenario is £20. And then the person who introduced that person to the oils will receive 5%. So this follows up, and, you know, say for example that the person who's in light blue decides that they want to build, you know, then anyone that they introduce, they will receive 20% on those orders, on that initial order, and for any orders placed in that first 60 days, and you will receive 10%. So this is a really great commission, because it grows with you as your business grows, and it gives you an additional revenue stream as that takes place over time. You can move on to the next one.
Thanks. I also think it's sort of dōTERRA's way of supporting us all to support the people that they introduce and the people that they introduce, and I like that it always works 3 levels deep.
Yeah, exactly.
And over time it you know, like, you're always earning 20% for the people that you're introducing and that are buying oils, but once you've got a few people that are doing this with you, in addition, you're also earning 10% off everybody that they introduce. And then if they introduce, you're also earning 5% of everyone they introduce. So it can actually, over time, it can be quite a nice little amount.
That's right.
Hope you don't mind.
So the third way is the power of 3 bonus. So this is a way to build up a really good level of commission by paying attention to how you structure your organisation, and it's based on 100 PV loyalty rewards spend as well. So this 100 PV spend is a way of demonstrating your commitment to the business, really. You know, as we share the oils, we need to replace them. And most importantly, we're living the lifestyle. You know, we're using these products on a daily basis. So it's really easy to spend 100 PV each month, you know, especially when you consider the consumable products, the lovely consumable products that doTERRA do. So the toothpaste, the shampoo and conditioner, beautiful skincare ranges, so supplements, you know, all these things. So, you know, as we're teaching classes and educating people about these oils, we build relationships with our customers. And in this process, we find people who want to do this with us. And over time, we're looking for 3 people who have decided to do the business and who are also doing 100 PV LRP spend each month. So as you can see from this diagram, you're at the top and you've got your sort of 3 builders who are doing the business alongside you. So when you've built up this first structure comprising you and 3 builders, you and 3 people that have joined you, and you've placed these people underneath you, everyone is doing a minimum of 100 PV spend each month, but the team total in order to receive this bonus is 600 PV. So as you know, you and those 3 people as a team need to make up 600 PV product volume. And this is actually quite easy to do because 100 PV is the minimum spend you need to make, but you know, for the most part, most people want to take advantage of the product of the month, which is, you know, you need to do a spend of 125 PV to be able to benefit from that. So when this team total making up 600 PV is in place, you receive approximately £38. That's based on the current exchange rate. And this is your first level power of 3. Okay. So with this in place, you are then guiding your 3 people to put this very same structure in place beneath them. And once that is in place, so each of those 3 people finds their 3 people, okay? And once that is in place, then you receive approximately £191.50 a month. And this is kind of a recognition as well of the support and the guidance that you are offering, and that kind of filters down, which is a really nice thing. You know, it's in a similar way to the Fast Start bonus. So yeah, and then once those 3 as well on your second level, so you've got 9 people there. Once those 9 people find each individually find their 3 people, then that makes your third level power of 3. Okay, and then you're earning £1,150 a month. So that's on top of the other commissions that you receive with doTERRA.
Okay, it's me, isn't it?
I thought it was me this one.
Oh, go ahead. I'll sit back and relax.
So the fourth way is uni level commission. I love this slide.
You're so good at explaining it.
So at the beginning, uni level commission is actually a very small amount. And this is because, you know, you've only got a couple of customers, you're just getting started. But over time, uni level actually becomes the largest amount of commission you receive. And this is because your organization is growing all of the time. As you're introducing people, those people are introducing people, people are getting put into your organization from whoever's introduced you to the business. So this slide is really a snapshot of what kind of volume you need at each rank, or title as it's called here. So you can see along the top, paid as title, consultant, manager, director, and so on. So with the ranks from consultant through to elite, you don't need to have any particular structure in place. It's all about, you know, having a certain amount of volume. So monthly PV is your own personal volume. And as you can see here, all the way through, right through to Presidential Diamond, your monthly PV needs to be that 100 PV LRP spend. And then monthly OV is your overall volume. So this is the cumulative volume from everything underneath you. Okay, so you need to have a certain OV is one of the one of the parameters. You need to have a certain OV in place in order to reach these ranks. So with elite, you can see here that it's 3,000. And then Premier is the first rank where you need to have more of a structure in place. So with elite, you don't need to have any particular structure. You just need to have that 3,000 OV in place in order to get to that rank. So with Premier, you need to have 5,000 OV, and this is comprised of 2 legs. So you've got 2 builders at this point ideally, and each of those legs is at executive, and you can see here that executive is 2,000 OV. And then you need another 1,000, and that can come from anywhere else. So one of those legs might be 3,000, the other one 2,000, or it might be a spread between the two. So with the percentages that you see here, you get paid down to level 7, obviously, but it's only at silver that you get paid down this far. So early on, you don't want to be placing customers too far down in your organisation, because you won't get paid at those levels unless you're at, you know, a certain rank. And that's, you know, not something you need to worry too much about, because with placements and with everything, you're getting support from whoever's introduced you. And yeah, you know, in the early days anyway, you don't have lots of customers to be placing down anyway. So you're not kind of, working so deeply within your organisation there. So yeah, as you can see, you know, at silver, you need to have 3 people in place. So this is where we mentioned on the, or where I mentioned on the power of 3, you know, where you're finding your 3 people. So at silver all the way through to platinum, you just need those, you know, those 3 people, those 3 legs in place, you know, in order to reach those ranks going through. And at diamond, you need an additional leg. So you're finding someone else at that point to join you in the business. I think I've covered most things on there, have I?
I think you have, yeah. I also think it's, you know, it's great to think that you can go all the way through to the very top rank, you know, with just 6 people, and you don't find 6 people, you know, straight away. But over time, you know, you can go all the way by finding 6 people that want to do this with you, and, you know, that they in turn find people. Mm. So the unilevel commission as well, I'm not sure if you mentioned this, but you know what we were talking about earlier about that fast start commission, which is the 20% you get when you introduce a new person, and you get that on their first order and any purchasing that they do for the first 2 months. Then after that, any further purchasing they do drops into this model here, this framework. If you're kind of thinking, well, you know, earlier we were talking about 20% and now we're looking at this, depending on where you place your customers, you'll get anything between 2 and 7% after the first 60 days.
So uni level continues. So yeah, the important things to note with uni level really are that it's paid monthly, and it's a commission, as Sarah mentioned, that you receive on customers who place an order outside of that 60 days, because if it's inside that 60 days, then obviously you're receiving 20%, you're receiving fast start. So dōTERRA have really kind of reframed the typical direct sales model here by paying us the highest percentage. As you can see, these percentages down here against the levels, they're paying us the highest percentage at our kind of lowest level. So they're paying 7% at level 7. And this is where over time we have the most customers. So we're getting paid more where we have the most customers in place. So other multi-level marketing companies actually do the opposite. They pay the highest percentage at the top where you actually have the least customers. So this is one of the reasons why dōTERRA has the most competitive compensation plan out there. And also with uni level, you know, it's not just commission that you're earning from people who you have introduced. The person who has introduced you and the person who introduced them are also placing customers at different times, you know, within your organization, which is also their downline. So with uni level, the great thing about it is that you don't have to be the enroller in order to earn it. Okay, you just need to be, you know, that person just needs to be within your organisation in order for you to receive commission from them.
Yeah, that is a really good perk. And also just another example of how we all kind of work together as well. Alrighty, so I get the joy of explaining dynamic. Thanks. Too kind. So don't worry about this, guys. It looks horrible. It is quite complicated. We don't need to understand it. I'm not going to kind of talk about it in any detail. All I'm going to say really is I'm looking at the image on the left, which is actually the first image that I've seen that I properly understand an explanation of what dynamic compression is. It's basically like we've been talking about this evening with the unilevel commission, which is the one Jasmine's just finished explaining, where after a customer is has been a member for more than 60 days, they drop down to us receiving between 2 and 7% of you know what they spend. In in other kind of MLM models, if there were any customers in or wellness advocates in the chain that didn't qualify for commission, either because perhaps they didn't have that 100 LRP basket in place, like Jasmine mentioned earlier, or because perhaps there's an account that is inactive, hasn't been used for a year, that kind of thing, then in other MLM models, the commissions that would normally be payable to those accounts would just would not be paid. Whereas with dōTERRA, what they do is they actually keep going up until they find an account that is eligible. So really all that we're saying here is dynamic compression is something that really, again, is another example of how the compensation plan is competitive and better than any other network marketing companies, because rather than just not paying if there's any accounts that aren't due, they just keep going until they find some that are. So you know, out of these, you know, the different percentages on the right here that would be due, they pay every single level out regardless. They'll just look for the next account up that's due if there is one that's inactive. So I hope that makes sense. So the fifth way then, so this is the fifth and the final way, although we are going to kind of just talk about one other one that was introduced a few years ago. The leadership bonus pools, again, these are something that are good to know about, but also when you're first starting out are in many ways the least relevant, because they're the ranks that are kind of furthest away. You know, these are the top 3 ranks, the final 3 ranks within dōTERRA. Well, some of them are actually, but the diamond ones are. But the leadership bonus pools actually cover silver, gold and platinum as well. So we're actually talking about the last 6, not the last 3. I'm just correcting myself here. So what we have, what dōTERRA do is they take global sales every month and they create different pots of money. Okay, so you can see they do the first one, which is entitled Leadership Performance Pool. They take 2% of global sales, and that's 1 pot of money. That's the Leadership Performance Pool. They take 1%, and that's another pot. And then they take 3 further 1%, which are the ones sort of underneath the bottom ones in blue. So we have these kind of 5 pots, separate pots, and they're basically shared out between different ranks. So the first 2% pot of money, which is called the Leadership Performance Pool, depending on the rank, you get a bigger percentage, basically. So they're done in shares. So a share equates in money roughly to about £150. So on this diagram, the ranks for the leadership performance pools are actually missing, but I'll tell you what they are. So where you see 1, 5 and 10, at silver, you will receive 1 share, which, as I've just said, is worth about £150 for reaching silver. And then when you reach gold, you're now getting 5 shares, so that's around £750 for hitting gold. And then when you're hitting platinum, you're getting 10 shares, so that's around £1,500 for hitting platinum. So that's one pool. And then the next pool is called a diamond performance pool, and this is 1% of global sales. And depending on whether you're a diamond, a blue diamond or a presidential diamond, you're getting 1, 2 or 3 shares from that pot. And also, just to say, you know, as you go up the organization, there's less people at that level, so the amounts that you receive are actually greater as well, because they're being shared around less people. And then the last pool is that 3% diamond pool, which is split into 3 separate pools. And again, they're additional ones that those diamond leadership levels get. So again, you don't need to understand this in a lot of detail, but basically these are large bonuses that you get, well, especially the diamond ones, but the leadership performance pools are really nice as well. You also, when you hit silver and ranks from there on up, for example, if the month that you hit silver, which means you have 3 elites under you, so if an elite is 3,000 volume, the first month that you hit silver, if there are any personally enrolled people hitting elite that month, you get an extra share. And that carries on through the organization as well. That's what those 1+ are underneath. And as you go up into the diamond ranks, those are even more significant in monetary terms. Okay, so the empowerment bonus, this is the kind of the add-on, the additional bonus. So this isn't included in the 5, but it can kind of be tacked on a little bit to what we were just talking about. In 2017, Jasmine and I went to the European sort of yearly get together that dōTERRA have in a different European city every year, and it was it in Amsterdam?
The first one?
Yeah, that we
Yeah,
went
it would have been. Yeah.
Yeah, and this was actually the year that they launched it. I remember us listening to it in that auditorium. And what it essentially is an additional bonus that Premier, Silvers, and actually announced last month. Now Gold ranking leaders are awarded, and it's similar to the performance pools we've just talked about. It's paid out based on shares, and it's divided by the number of wellness advocates who qualify. Now, because Europe is in a period of fast growth, even though the number of wellness advocates are increasing, so are sales. So the actual value of this is actually steadily going up despite the wellness advocates increasing. So again, this pool is 1% of global company volume, and the way it works depends what level you're at. If you're a Premier or a Silver, you get 1 share, and this is the only bonus that's dependent on you enrolling at least 1 person to get it. So if you're to get paid the empowerment bonus at Premier or Silver, you need to have enrolled somebody, 1 new member with 100 PV or higher that month, and then you'll automatically get this 150. So at Premier, it's really nice because it's the first, it's the first proper kind of leadership bonus that you get, and this, actually makes a really nice noticeable difference to your your monthly payment, your monthly check. And then at Silver, you're already getting that 1 share that I mentioned, which is, has a value of about 150. But if you enroll somebody, you're additionally getting the empowerment bonus, which is really nice. So because you're kind of doubling your leadership bonus. And now, very excitingly, for Gold, so as of this month, actually, whoever's not got their line muted, I wonder if you wouldn't mind just muting it. That would be lovely, thank you. So the Golds from this month, there's actually 2 shares up for grabs. And again, they are dependent on enrolments. So if they do 1 enrolment over 100, they'll get 1 share. And there's actually a 2nd share up for grabs. And they'd need to do a 2nd enrolment to get that. And then obviously any other enrolments, they don't get additional shares, but there'll be the other bonuses that we talked about anyway. All right, so yeah. And then I think this is second to last slide, so stay with us. This is the average income by rank. So this is the actual earnings of the lady that introduced me to the oils, and that she works now with her husband. Once she got to the level of, I think it was Silver or Gold, her husband started to take dōTERRA seriously, as is often the case. The husbands tend to join when they realise that dōTERRA is actually a viable business. And you can see there a timeline, so it gives you a sense of, this is how fast they moved to these particular ranks. But how quickly you move very much is determined by how much time you've got, how effectively you work, many factors, but it gives you a good indication. I haven't got my timeline with me, but I know to kind of, I think I got to Premier in about 4 or 5 months, and Silver in, I don't know, about 9, I think. Gold maybe in about a year, and Platinum in just under 2. So the ranges are, you might be looking at that thinking, well, that's quite a big range, whether I was at the beginning or the upper end, that's quite a significant difference. But the reason for this is there's a couple of factors. One is how fast or how slow it takes you to get to each rank. So if you get to a rank very fast, that's a sign that you're building very quickly and introducing very, very quickly, and perhaps finding people to do it with you, but you won't have the number of customers, so many customers, as if you took a lot longer to get there. And so some of the commissions can be on the low. You can be on the lower side of the range if you get to a rank very quickly, and then once you've kind of been at a rank for a little while, you start to kind of move up, because your organization grows and therefore the number of customers grows, and therefore the amount of commission, because you have more customers spending. The other thing is, it's making certain assumptions on how far you have got with some of the other commissions that we've talked about tonight. So for example, do you remember the power of 3 bonus that Jasmine talked about, where it's you and the 3 people underneath you, and everyone's doing their spend, and there's a team total of 600, and that's your first level power of 3. And then once those 3 have got their 3 and they're all doing it, that's your second level. So it's kind of, this is making some assumptions about how far, when you're getting your second and your third level, but it gives you a good ballpark figure of where you are, where you can get to, and how fast. Okay, so what next? This is our last slide. So after having watched our introduction to the business last week, and this kind of drill down into how you can make money with dōTERRA, if I know some of you you've already made that commitment and you've already started doing the business, but those of you that haven't and are excited about what you've heard tonight, and you're thinking, yes, I'm ready, then what we'd invite you to do is basically join us here again next week, where we will continue this education with guidance around actually getting started. So there's a couple of options. You can join us live, or we have a pre-recorded option, and this really takes you through everything you need to know to get started, from what things to purchase. Not very much is the answer, but some of the things are on the left, just so you have the basic tools to start really sharing the oils and inviting people to online classes to learn more. And then for a further 6 weeks after that, we'll be really holding your hand and guiding you all the way. And we've got modules around every aspect of how to do this business. And really right now there is such a desire for people are looking to be self-sufficient right now because of the current climate. They're thinking about all the ways that they can be empowered to basically be less reliant on the system, whether that's growing their own food, getting chickens, buying a deep freeze, or taking their healthcare into their own hands. So actually now's an amazing time to be getting started with the dōTERRA business. And we've always done our work online. Yes, we've done it face to face as well, but there are no barriers regarding doing a business online with dōTERRA. You just need to make sure you've got your 100 LRP set up, because as we mentioned last week, that's how dōTERRA recognizes you as a business builder and pays your commission. And then, assuming that you have oils, you have a resource book and or app, and your coconut oil, you just want to get, those other basic tools, make up some samples, write your 100 list, and with your upline support, start reaching out to people and offering them an oil to try as a solution to their health need. And again, once you've done that, you'll be inviting them to I recommend setting at least 4 online classes that your upline will teach and support you to teach together over time. And that's how you get going. So it's really just a nice continuation of what you've learnt tonight. And I recommend sort of having some regular sessions with the person that introduced you to dōTERRA and that has been guiding you this far. All right, so that brings us to the end of tonight's webinar.